Well. Welcome back to another episode of Girl Down Podcast with me, your host, Aeon. First, let me start off by apologizing. I know I was supposed to get these episodes out to you all earlier, but work has been kicking my ass. My mental health has been kicking my ass. And my plan was to record at some point during the week, but work has work has not only been overwhelming, but it's been causing me a lot of anxiety that I haven't been able to pivot and concentrate on creating the content for the podcast and for the Patreon. And right now, I'm recording during the MLK weekend, so I have a couple of extra days that I can focus on that. So first, let me apologizing to you all for not giving you the content when I promised you all. Second, I want to announce that the Patreon is now up. So by the time that you're hearing this episode, the Patreon is up. I have one video up now. I only have one tier. The price is only $10, where you get access to content that I'm creating for the Patreon. There's also some interviews that I want to have on the Patreon. So basically, how I'm envisioning the Patreon is that I'm only putting up content that I am not going to put out through the my regular podcast. And also the content will be video recorded. So now how I do the podcast, I just sit in front of my iPad and I record on my iPad, no cameras or nothing. But for the Patreon, you'll definitely be able to see me on camera talking about topics, and you'll be able to see the guests that I have when they'll be on there talking about topics. Definitely we'll be having more intimate, private conversations just about random topics and also about personal stuff that I'm going through in my life that I don't feel comfortable sharing on an open platform through the podcast. You'll definitely be able to come behind the veil and see me talk about those intimate and personal things that we can't talk about for GP. You have to come through the gated community to hear me talk about those topics. And just to disclose, they're going to be about my relationships, certain situations that I'm going through, sex, maybe political topics that I might not have the I have a perspective that I'm working through. You'll be able to see that on the Patreon. Again, the Patreon is a flat fee of $10 a month. And I'm really looking to create a community through that Patreon. So please go on over to the Girl Down Podcast Patreon page. The information will definitely be in the show notes for this show. Also, if you go to my social media, I have the link tree set up, so you can definitely go over to the link tree, see the link to the Patreon, and go over there and get some exclusive content. I'm also restarting the hotel series, so by the end of this weekend, you can expect to see 2 new hotel series that will kick off my Chicago years. So, and also if you have different topics that you want me to talk about, feel free to suggest them. I also want to discuss another feature that I want you all to use. So, my podcast is hosted on the Anchor platform, and one of the good things about being on the Anchor platform is that they have a feature where you can leave voicemails in response to my episode, just whatever you think. I definitely want to incorporate my listeners and supporters into the show. So if you have a reaction, whatever reaction it is, I definitely want you to let me know so we can expand the conversations that I'm having. These conversations definitely are not happening in a vacuum. So I will also include the link to the Anchor website in the show notes, and you can even record the voice notes on your phone. It's not something where you have to be sitting in front of the computer. You can just click on the Girl Down Podcast Anchor page, go to the page and go to the voice record and just record your reactions to the topics from the show, or record something that you want to see, and I might include it in a future Girl Down Podcast episode. So Now that we got all of that out of the way, I wasn't going to do this, but I think it's only best that I do this. Um, Life update too. Right now, I'm in a spirit of transition. Uh, in many facets of my life, but like I said, this past week has really been hard for me. I really been struggling with some things at work. Of course, I can't really go into details, but I feel that I'm at a space where I'm going to have to take a step of faith. One thing about being in this pandemic is it has really shifted the vision of it's really started to make me think about am I doing right now? Is it really what I'm meant to be doing? Is it really what I should be doing? And I'm saying this to say, like, I went to law school pre-pandemic, and I had a vision of my life pre-pandemic of the trajectory that I was going down, the road that I was going down, what I thought was going to happen in my life, and with us being in a pandemic and quarantine and just waves of people getting sick and going through recovery and all of that, and us really being in a world where we're just living on the computer and having to do everything on the computer, it's really started to create a shift where this is not how I thought things were going to be, and this is our new normal now. For all intents and purposes, this is our new normal. This is how things are going to be, and is this really what I signed up for? Um, is there room for things to change? Um, things aren't panning out how I thought they were going to be, because when I wanted to be this thing, the world was one way, and now this world is a completely different way. And the vision of what I had for my life and my career is not matching up to the reality of what it is now. And I'm struggling because of it, because I don't feel like I'm in the environment where I'm going to succeed, because I'm literally in a room in a computer by myself. Um, so some situations have happened, like, well, not even this past week, the past couple of months, and it's really caused me to really and this is something that I'm always doing, because I'm very self-introspective, self-reflecting, self-introspective, and it's just a part of who I am. And also being in a pandemic, and being fortunate to live by myself and just have that time and space to myself to think, to sleep, to rest, to be silent, and to really process. Um, I've seriously been questioning. Um, is there another way that I can do this professionally? Do I want to do something else professionally? Should there, and really being honest with myself, that, hey, we're in a pandemic. Hey, the world is changing. Hey, maybe it doesn't hurt to entertain the possibility of something else, especially when we're talking about pure pleasure, pure happiness, pure maximizing those things, and I really happy, and just not feeling like I need to pigeonhole myself because I wanted to do this. I was dead set on doing this one thing when the world was this way, and now the world has shifted, and I'm feeling something in me. Should I shift too? Do I take another chance? Do I put myself out there? Do I go off the path that I've kind of set up for myself? So I'm definitely in the process of dealing with a lot of those feelings. I definitely have some decisions that I need to make, some prayers that I need to get out there. Not to necessarily give me answers, because I kind of already know what I'm going to do, and I kind of know what options are there. But just giving me the strength and giving me the endurance to just go through the process, and um, not try to ignore the obvious, not try to ignore, and just having the confidence, and having the fearlessness to just go after what I want and find my happiness. But it, it's crazy that we're living in a pandemic, and I feel like I experienced so many people acting as if we're not in a pandemic, and acting as if we're not going through these serious emotions and shifts and changes. And I just really, um, you know, I'm at a place where I just have to explore. I just have to answer those questions. But this last 2 weeks, it's just been certain things that have been happening that I guess have kind of been like manifestations. That it's just like, girl, you kind of owe it to yourself to explore the other side, and you owe it to yourself to kind of realign what you thought you wanted for your life, and you don't have to lock yourself into this thing that you wanted before the world was just turned completely upside down. And it's not an indictment on your character. It doesn't mean that you're not authentic. It doesn't mean that you weren't all those things that you said you were. But life has changed, and I have to be responsive to how life has changed, and I have to entertain the possibilities that my thoughts and my wants, they can also change as well. And just dealing with the anxiety with it now. Today, with me recording this, I kind of feel a sense of ease. I feel a sense of peace, knowing that I am going to make a decision. But this week, my anxiety mixed with my recurrent depression, bitch, it was kicking my ass, bitch. And then with this new wave of the pandemic, I really, in some ways it feels different, but in some ways it feels the same. Like, now it feels very similar to how it was when this shit all first started in March of 2020. Just in the sense that so many people are testing positive. So many people close to me have tested positive this time. And it's just, some days you just feel like we are just never going to get out of this. I'm hopeless. And usually traveling is a way of escape for me. And like, I have, I can travel. It's crazy now that I have the means to travel. It's like I could travel, but it's just like, for what? I don't want to risk getting sick now. I don't. And then if I travel, what can I really do? And it's just like, I feel restless. I feel restless. These are just crazy times that we're living in. And at this point, I'm just trying to give myself permission to feel all the feelings, acknowledging my feelings, and acknowledging that all of the stuff that's going on is not normal, and it's not necessarily okay, but it's okay that I'm not okay, and that I'm allowing myself to have a human response and an emotional response to all of the chaos that is going on, and really just living in a country and living through all of these systems that really don't give a damn about us as people, but also knowing that I have to empowering myself to know that I have to do what's in the best interest for myself. But I hate that I had to be vague really with what's going on, but a lot of it has to do with my job, and for obvious reasons I can't really disclose like where I work, or what I do, or just the specifics. But know that Aeon is definitely feeling like some decisions have to be made, some changes have to be made, and I'm just, once again, I am giving myself permission to step out on faith, so I can feel happy, and I can feel as comfortable as I can be during the middle of a pandemic. But y'all, this shit is hard. Shit is hard. And I think the next episode I'm gonna go into is why I purposely have not wanted to entertain a relationship, but we are going to save that for another episode. But I want to thank you all for riding with me and just being patient with me and just supporting me. It really means so much to me that I'm able to have this outlet, and it's able to be so well received. And I will see you all on the next episode of Girl Down Podcast. All right, bye.